Many times when I have people in my office who are very critical of others, critical of their partner, critical of themselves, I oftentimes will look at the way they were raised, who was in their past, how many relationships did they have, what did those relationships teach them about themselves. But then an integral part of what I do is I talk to them about their emotional intimacy, how they feel about themselves, how able they are to allow themselves to get into a relationship with someone. Are they comfortable with being intimate with someone, with accepting someone, with someone seeing their flaws? And what I find is the way they attach intimately is not close. It's actually always working to keep them separate. And as a partner, if you're involved with someone who is extremely critical, you probably feel like they are hard on you, like the whole time they push you away instead of saying things that could draw you near, and you're spot on. In other words, it's not you, though, why they're pushing you away. It's really not you who has the problem. It's they themselves. So there's 5 areas of criticism, emotional criticism, I really want to go through, because I think if you're one of those people on the receiving end of a partner who is critical, or if you're the critical partner, it's important that you understand which of these you're more in line with so you can start working on it to resolve it. Because let's face it, having a relationship, a loving relationship with someone when you're extremely critical is very, very difficult, and it causes more problems. It can cause misery in a relationship. So the first one, you're being self-critical. This is one type. If you're self-critical, then you hold yourself to really high standards. They're impossible standards. They're probably standards that were set for you by your parents. And so you blame yourself a lot. And not only that, you hold others naturally to the same high standards that you have set for yourself. Now, this is incredibly crazy because the standards you're setting, your own internal police, is so harsh that there's no reason you should be doing it to yourself. And when you do it to another person, it's even more hurtful. Secondly, lacking gratitude. People who oftentimes use and have trouble with intimacy, emotional intimacy of themselves, they don't have gratitude. They don't extend gratitude for what they have, and they're not good at being grateful for what their partner does. You see, what happens is they have this expectation that people should do this. And this is a way of pushing people away. If you always think of being self-critical as being or emotionally having it caused by emotional intimacy barriers, then criticism is a way you can make things worse. You forget to take time to go, wow, the fact that they packed my lunch this morning is a big deal. And you may not say anything to them, and yet that partner took the time to do that, no matter what it is. Maybe they got gas in your car. Maybe they made coffee for you. It's very important that couples are able to see that to increase or strengthen the connection between them. With a self-critical partner, you're not going to have that. They are always distrusting. They're very judgmental. When you have an emotional intimacy problem, you're very judgmental of others because you need to keep yourself safe. Because you grew up in a very unsafe, always blaming type of family more than likely. And so what happens is you distrust other people. You distrust your judgment because your parents many times told you, you should have known better. You're so stupid. Why didn't you know that? So you're critical of others as a way of pushing them away because you don't trust your own judgment that, hey, this could be a nice person. This could be someone not out to take advantage of me. Because if you grew up in this kind of family, which you probably did, if you're critical of others, then you probably grew up with parents who had outrageous expectations placed on you and made you afraid to get close to someone who could see you fail, because those parents reminded you of your failures all the time. So of course, why would you trust anybody? Being self-protective. If you have if you're critical and it was brought on by emotional intimacy problems, then let's face it, you are not going to be comfortable having someone close to you, because anyone who was close to you before hurt you. And that was your feeling, your like growing up in your original family. So of course, why would you trust this partner with all this valuable information of your own failures, of your own fears, of your own vulnerabilities? It makes sense. So what you do is you get critical of them. If you get critical of them, you'll push them away and make them not want to be close to you, not want to share your truths, not want to be vulnerable with you, and fearing space. So see, this is why these relationships are always in between. There's a lot of tension, because on one hand, you push them away because you're self-protecting. On the other hand, you fear the space. Like, okay, now they're too far away. Now I have to get jealous because I don't trust myself and I don't trust others. And this push-pull, I don't want you, but I don't want anyone else to have you, makes your partner feel totally like they have no idea what's going on. They're not loved, but yet they're not allowed to have freedom to go look for someone else. So let's talk about this. If you say, well, Mary Jo, I have identified that mine is an emotional intimacy problem, then let's go through and explain this a little bit more. Okay, the first thing you need to do is you need to learn how to be accepting, because being self-critical increases the likelihood that you'll be equally critical of your partner. So you wouldn't be accepting of their differences. So this would be an area I would target. I would do little questionnaires about how accepting you were of others. Like, could you put up with them? Could you allow them to maybe become part of sharing a life? Secondly, appreciative. I would really work on you being more appreciative, because if you lack gratitude, it indicates that there's a struggle with expressing your appreciation for the good that your partner gives you. Because remember, if that partner's bringing you good, now you're vulnerable. Because what are you going to do when they don't bring good anymore? So your idea or your way to live with it in the past, being critical, was just not to appreciate anything. But that's a terrible way to live. And it's actually limiting you when you think about it. Committed. I would talk to you and work with you about being committed. Committed in relationships, committed with follow through with what you said you would do. Because when you're distrusting of your judgment regarding relationships, it interferes with your ability to fully commit to another person or a goal, something you want to do, because you don't trust yourself. Because for so long, the people that loved you most, supposedly the caretakers, or maybe a past old partner, told you that you were no good, that you were stupid, that you should never trust yourself, you're an idiot or a moron. And when you hear that enough, you begin mistrusting yourself. And as you do that, then you can no longer really commit 100% to a person, to an idea, to a project, to anything. Accessibility, that's another area we would have to go through and work on. Being self-protective suggests that you resist making yourself accessible. You don't really want anyone to be able to count on you. And this is deeply motivated within you. If somebody really counts on you, you might start feeling trapped. You might start feeling overwhelmed because you don't want them. You don't trust yourself. You're not really committed to them. And if they start counting on you, what's going to happen? Like, once again, everybody's going to see you're a big screw up. You're a big failure. So you can see how this area needs a lot of work. And lastly, you need to learn how to be courageous, because fearing space is a sign that you lack the courage to secure an individual relationship or being part of a couple. And so we really have to take risks. You have to get the courage up to take a risk and to take a step. In my couples, I begin with commitment, and I begin with small commitments. Maybe we'll get a pet. Maybe we'll commit to a weekend, something we're going to do, and then following through. And then we have to practice courageousness, because if you commit, they're going to rely on you. You're going to have to be courageous to really take on, I think I can do that with this person. And we have to tell the partner so that they're not totally blindsided by why you're acting weird or why you're acting so anxious, because those things would all be part of it. When you see someone who is really critical, or you're dating or married to someone who's really critical, before you go after them and tell them that, it's really important you get curious about where that criticism is coming from. And know in your heart and mind, it's really not about you. It's them and their story and their past, and only they can change it.